Let's bring in Hoda Abdulhamid, who's overlooking Liberation Square. And if you compare what we see behind you with what we're seeing in other countries across the region, the contrast couldn't be greater. And the army joining in and playing tunes for the crowd, Hoda.
Absolutely, the army wanting to be part of the celebrations here, the day of victory, as many call it. The army had a band that entered the square early in the morning, played some music for a couple of hours, and then there was the Friday prayer. The entire square joined into that prayer. It was led by Sheikh Yusuf Qaradawi. Now, he is a controversial figure. He is a man that's seen quite close to the Muslim Brotherhood, but he's also a man that did show a lot of support during the 18 days of protest here on Liberation Square and beyond. He did call for President Mubarak to be ousted. So today he came to the square and he did tell everyone that this was actually a victory for all Egyptians.
In Tahrir Square, our Christian brothers protected their Muslim brothers when they were praying. I invite them today to bow down with their Muslim brothers and give thanks to God. Bowing down and giving thanks is something common to both Muslims and Christians. In this square, this cursed sectarianism was extinguished.
Very quickly, Hoda, because we're going back to Bahrain in just a moment. The protesters saying that some of them will not leave the square until Mubarak, his family and his cronies are stripped of all their wealth.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the protesters call this a day of victory and continuation. There is a feeling at the moment that really not everything has been achieved. The system is still there. The military, yes, is showing good intent and is saying the right things, but there's really an entire system to be changed. As you said, there's to be prosecuted, and they want that to happen.
Hoda Abdulhamid in Cairo, thank you very much indeed. We're now going back to Bahrain, to the Salamania Hospital in the capital, Manama. Let's talk to Dr. Ghassan, who is there for us. Doctor, our correspondent said that a lot of people had been taken to hospital after the latest incident in which he believes live firing took place. What can you tell us?
Yes, we are calling for help. For all the countries in the world, we call for help here in Bahrain. We cannot tolerate this. We cannot bear this. The hospital is full of casualties. All the medical staff are running all over the place. There are victims thrown in the roads. Nobody can free them. Nobody can bring them to the hospital. It's a chaos here in the hospital. That's the way I describe it. We call for an urgent call for everybody in the world, United States, European Union, all the Arab leagues, all the Arab countries. Please do come here to help us. We are an innocent people. They haven't done anything. They have just demonstrated peacefully. They were on their way to the hospital and they were shot dead. We have a lot of deaths here. I cannot describe the situation. It's awful. It's awful. That's the way we can describe it. It's chaos. The hospital is full of casualties. All the medical staff are running on their feet. It's quite difficult to accommodate all of these casualties. The hospital is nearly full. We've taken a lot of patients to the theater. We took patients to the ICU. The accident emergency is full of casualties. It is unbelievable scene. It's undescribable.
Doctor, I know that you have a job to do there, and we appreciate you talking to us. Can you update us on the number of people that you believe have died?
It's uncountable, my friend. It's uncountable. It's very difficult to count the number of casualties. We can't even identify them because they don't even hold their IDs. They were thrown on the roads. There are tens, if not hundreds of people are just still on the road. The ambulance cannot reach them. They were stopped by the police guard. They can't access them. It is very hard to describe the situation. It is really, really hard. It's unbelievable, as if we are in a war. These people are innocent. They don't hold machine guns. They don't hold swords, as the government has said. These are just innocent demonstrators. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. We call for urgent help. The ministers, the foreign ministers who were there in Bahrain yesterday should call for help for people, not to support the government who is killing their people. It's very hard to describe the situation. I mean, it's awful.
Doctor,
awful.
One final question for you before we allow you to get back to your work, which I know is very important. Tell us if you've been able to talk to anybody who was there and what they said actually happened.
Because they thrown tear gases. All of them are suffocated, and all of them were shot on their heads. The majority of the shots were on the head. This time they are targeting the head in order to kill them. You know, we have a lot of casualties whom their brain is just shattered. Their skull is into pieces. The skull is full of bullets. This is unbelievable. It's really disgrace. I can't really describe the situation. You should have your imagination really wide in order to accommodate this scene. This country is a peaceful country. These people are peaceful people. They don't hold machine guns, and at the end they are shot. What else you want me to tell you? I mean, just leave your imagination into a war zone. Even though this is not a war, this is a peaceful demonstration. We are in a peaceful country. This population is very small. We cannot accommodate these casualties. All the other hospitals are calling for help from them.
Doctor, thank you very much. That's Dr. Hassan. I'm waiting to hear whether we've got our correspondent in Manama. I don't know whether you were able there to hear Dr. Hassan at the Sulaymaniyah Hospital,
So
but he said it was like a war zone.
What he had to say.
Yeah, tell us more. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do while we check to see whether we can get a line through to our correspondent, is I'm going to run through some of the details that we've heard since the beginning of this news hour, and namely that in Bahrain, according to witnesses, within the last hour, there have been a number of live shots fired. We don't know whether they were fired by the army or by security forces, or indeed perhaps by civilians. But the claims are that a number of people have been killed. Now, this firing, we understand, took place at the end of the third day of mourning for the first victim of the demonstrations in Bahrain. We spoke to a doctor there at the Sulaymaniyah Hospital who says staff are entirely overwhelmed. He said it is a war zone, and he called for the outside world, the European Union, President Obama, anybody listening to help. And the same call made by an engineer in the Libyan city of Benghazi in the east, who said members of the revolutionary committees, armed members of the revolutionary committees there in Libya, had opened fire on the crowds. And he feared that many, many more people stood to lose their lives there. Well, that's just summarizing the situation in two of the countries where street demonstrations, popular revolts are taking place. Let's take a look from a different angle at what's happening in Bahrain, because the British government has got a pretty big arms deal with the Bahraini government. And Stephen Cole in London, they now say that in the light of what they're seeing, what they're hearing, they may well review that.
Exactly, David. William Hague, the Foreign Secretary, is pretty cross, or seems to be anyway, and reports suggest weapons from Britain may have been used by Bahrain's army to crack down on protesters. And as I said, that's led the British Foreign Ministry to announce it's reviewing its export licenses to the kingdom. Across the Middle East, arms sales